It is exciting to see, but you mentioned the USTA being the national governing body of tennis. Our mission is to grow the sport of tennis, and so what better showcase for the sport to inspire future tennis fans and players of the sport than the U.S. Open, seeing all these top players. And so last week, Fan Week, really, it has been the engine of growth for the U.S. Open. So there is still availability to come out, but it's been a journey to grow Fan Week and to serve as that point of inspiration and growth. So I do have some things to keep me busy to grow that.
Okay, that's good. But you know what I meant.
Yeah, no, I do. And
you see the numbers.
I do see the numbers. And to be quite frank, I think with any brand or event, you would never want to assume that you don't have to market or promote or be intentional about the future fan and who that looks like, and how are we staying culturally relevant, and how are we thinking about years into the future if we want to continue that growth. How do we do that through intentional marketing and really thoughtful data analysis on who the fans are that are coming and why they're coming and what continues to bring them back year after year. So I'm focused on that.
Well, let's talk about that future fan and what the future fan looks like. We're here now, and we've talked a lot about the program so far, how expensive the event is, how this is a difficult day for a family of four to come here, between the ticket prices, between the concession stands, I'm sure any other entertainment, merchandise you might want to get here. How is the USTA trying to keep this event accessible for everybody?
Yeah, well, so again, Fan Week is that now it's week one of a 3-week U.S. Open, and it is the most accessible. And even as we added the mixed doubles championship to Fan Week, the top stars playing mixed doubles tennis, which was tremendous. I mean, I think it even surpassed our expectations in terms of the tennis play, in terms of the fan excitement and engagement with the matches. So we were selling tickets to those events, but it was very much focused on creating accessible price points for those tickets. There's still get-in prices for, night sessions in Ash that are fairly reasonable. Again, we don't have
I've noticed that.
Right?
The night sessions are a lot less expensive than the day sessions.
Exactly, because you have just the two matches that are going to be in either Ash or Armstrong, whereas during the day you've got so much tennis happening throughout the grounds, and not just singles main draw, but doubles. We are now having top player practices playing all throughout the ground, so you can even see like Coco practice on an outer court and really see some great tennis from her if she's not playing her match that day. So, but at the same time, this is a premium event. We have a lot of premium products that appeal to a high-end clientele, and I think people also treat the U.S. Open as a bucket list item that they're willing to invest in, and we want to deliver a spectacular experience once they're here.
Is there a way to somehow, and I know we can't, and you can't extend Fan Week at this point. We talked to John.
We've talked about it, actually.
Well, Cincinnati makes it pretty tough.
Yes, that's true.
And we talked to John Wertham about that, and Sviatek, who was trying to get from her match on Monday to here on Tuesday, right? It's just logistically challenging.
Yes.
What about, are there opportunities for you to take the U.S. Open to other parts of the country?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept. I mean, there has been some discussion around that. The other piece that we haven't talked about, but that we're doing again for the second year this year, is Finals Fan Fest, or we did talk a little bit about the Finals Fan Fest. Over Finals weekend, fans can come onto the grounds and watch. We're going to have a really fun viewing party with influencers and fan engagement activities in Armstrong, watching the finals that's taking place in the Ash Stadium. And then we have talked about even taking advantage of the courts around on the outer courts where there then is not as much tennis playing, but having families be able to get on the courts and play tennis. So I think we're trying to do more on either end of it. But we have our sections, our USTA sections are doing family days in different markets throughout the country that will be viewing parties of U.S. Open. So I love that idea. That's a great idea. Take it out on the road. But I'm going to take that and run with it. But
the reason I bring that up is I grew up in California. I was a tennis player as a kid, and I never was able to go to the U.S. Open as a kid until I moved to New York. And it was kind of like that for a lot of sports because I lived between L.A. and San Francisco. and there wasn't a lot of organized professional sports around me.
I mean, there is something about the U.S. Open, and we're this international event.
We are to Indian Wells, which was fun. And I did that.
No, that's a fun. Yeah, that's a fun event too. But we are this global event that people from all over the world come here and descend on Queens to sort of. It's very experiential too, right? So, everything that we're delivering for fans, the accessibility in Fan Week, but also even again during the event. You mentioned Naomi Osaka was just walking by here, and it is a unique experience that you can't deliver. So there's a balance between monetizing, commercializing it beyond there, but also having this unique experience that you have to be here to.
Something that doesn't get talked about as much, Nicole, and I think this is fascinating, of what the USTA does with the proceeds of the U.S. Open, and a big focus right now is coaching. I was stunned to hear this, that the median age of a tennis coach in the U.S. is 53, I believe. Tell us about that, and what these efforts are like. We've just got about a minute left here, and why this is so important to invest in coaching right now.
Yep. So we have a very ambitious goal. We mentioned 35 million tennis players by 2035, and thinking about all the different pillars from infrastructure to getting young people playing to coaching is a really important part. And so the USTA wants to think about and invest in all those pillars to help fuel the mission and to fuel that goal.